True. Let's go to Karma Green, we steady on the rise. Digging truth from ancient scenes, we open blinded eyes. Rhyme sharp like pirates' lines, we break the bondage tight. Kamji speaking revolution, keep the fire burning. The drums guide our stride, we march with purpose proud. No more silence, we collide, our voices thunder loud. Politics and history, we stitch them in every verse. From Pharaoh's throne to Yaoundé streets, we claim the Kamji verse.
So there's a new story about Ibrahim Traoré in Burkina Faso dissolving the Independent Election Commission. So Burkina Faso has announced plans to scrap its Independent National Electoral Commission, citing high cost and concerns over foreign influence. And we know that influence from La République, the US and various Western states have been implemented to take out, the captain, President Ibrahim Traoré, as well as any individual or group of individuals in Burkina Faso who opposes Western imperialism. Electoral responsibilities will now be transferred to the Territorial Administration Ministry, a move Burkina Faso says will reinforce the nation's sovereignty amid ongoing jihadist violence. So Burkina Faso has decided to scrap its National Election Commission, arguing that it is a costly body that is prone to foreign influence. And this foreign influence is clear from anybody who has ever analyzed Burkina Faso and just the preponderance of agents that have existed, since time immemorial perhaps. We know about the fact that Compaoré was the one who betrayed Sankara. So the new Burkina Faso government, the Burkinabé government, is trying to ensure that none of this type of agent behavior can be instigated in their nation. Composed of 15 commissioners from political parties and civil societies, the Independent National Electoral Commission claims to be an independent body responsible for organizing elections. It's clear that the Burkinabé government, under Traoré, saw some fraud and they're trying to nip it in the bud. Elections were due to be held in July last year, but the Burkina government ultimately extended its transition by 5 years. Elections were due to be held in July last year, but the government ultimately extended its transition by 5 years. Subsidized with nearly $500 million CFA francs, which are around $870,000 each year, is budget intensive, Territorial Administration Minister Emile Zerbo said on Wednesday. He said the Council of Ministers had approved a plan to dissolve the body and that electoral-related issues would now be handled by Territorial Administration Ministry. Zerbo said the move would reinforce our natural sovereign control on the electoral process, while at the same time limiting foreign influences. The Burkinabé government prioritizes sovereignty and has distanced itself from its former colonial ruler, France. So this is clear that, this extension is in line with what Ibrahim Traoré promised the people, in the sense of not being bogged down by the propaganda of electoralism and actually being engaged within the process of fixing the nation, and limiting the amount of foreign Western imperialist influences on the country. See, a lot of people claim to support the electoral process and believe that it is a better solution than dealing with, so-called military rule. But if you look at a nation like Cameroon alleges that it is a democratic nation, but it is actually a military government under the guise of democracy. Anybody who challenges Biya will be arrested, thrown in prison, banned from civil society for just challenging the ethno-dictatorship that is the RDPC mafia that has been running Cameroon for 4 decades. And you never see any of these Western outlets mentioning the fact that Cameroon is an anti-democratic society. That is absolutely not democratic. If you look at the different issues on the ground, if you look at the discrimination against the Bamileke and Western Cameroonian grassroots people, it is a disaster to even consider, to even approach the consideration that Cameroon is a democracy. So if we look at the successes of the Alliance for Sahelian States, AES, we can clearly see progress has been made. Extensive progress has been made on the behalf of the Sahelian states. More progress than the so-called civilian-ruled nations like Cameroon, like Nigeria, and other puppet nations of the Western states. So no, I don't mind if, the Burkinabé government removes the Electoral Commission, especially, since they found many foreign agents and operatives who are not fighting for the interest of the Burkinabé people within that commission. I do not have a problem with them removing them from influence, removing them from power. And really, the goal is not an election in and of itself. The goal is liberation. And if the Burkinabé government under Captain Traoré are leading the Burkinabé people towards liberation, that is what we must support. Most of us who have analyzed African politics could not care less about elections because look, Cameroon as an example, you have flawed elections, you have rigged elections, you have elections that because the ruling party is in tandem and in collaboration with a lot of these Western forces, all of a sudden, the election is legitimate, it's not stolen, there's not chicanery happening behind the scenes. When we all know that, a 92-year-old man couldn't possibly run a successful electoral campaign. But this falls into the machine that a lot of these countries have. And these are the type of machines that the Burkinabé people and government under Traoré are trying to eliminate. These type of fraudulent situations where you may have an election every 4, 5, 6, or in Cameroon's case, 7 years, but that does not actually lead to progress for the people on the ground. So this is a very, very bright sign that the Burkinabé government is not limited by the flaws and lies of liberalism. They're not limited by the lies of electoralism. And they're willing to use the force of state machinery to be able to get things done for the people on the ground. That is the type of government that we need. That is the type of government that all African people should support. And these Western outlets who are trying to make it seem as if, oh, this is such a bad idea and this is such a dangerous move. No, it's a move that's necessary, especially with respect to a lot of these Western-backed so-called terror groups that are wreaking havoc on the African continent as an excuse for infinite surveillance and hegemonic presence of these Western military powers on the African continent. Because the bottom line is, all that they're trying to do is secure resource concessions, and we have to just eliminate them from doing that. We have to just destroy that possibility. And what Traoré is doing, what the Burkinabé people are doing, is definitely a positive step in the right direction. It is definitely a positive. We should celebrate this action, and hopefully, they continue to use the force of arms, the force of state machinery, and the force of the people to be able to remove Western influence, Western propaganda, and chart Burkina Faso and Africa at large for a brighter future. That's all I got on this. I'm gonna catch you on the next one. Peace.
Let's go to Karma Green, we steady on the rise. Digging truth from ancient scenes, we open blinded eyes. Rhyme sharp like pirates' lines, we break the bondage tight. Kamji speaking revolution, keep the fire burning. Chill drums guide our stride, we march with purpose proud. No more silence, we collide, our voices thunder loud. Politics and history, we stitch them in every verse. From Pharaoh's throne to Yaoundé streets, we claim the Kamji verse.